What's up, everybody? My name's Big Cam and welcome back to another trailer reaction. I think this is the second big one of the week. The previous one we've done this week was for Star Wars, Mandalorian, and Grogu. But today we have a very special look at the House of the Dragon Season 3. Oh my goodness. And this trailer is like a teaser trailer, but it's also kind of like a trailer, but it's only like a minute. Oh my goodness. And they released this poster as well of Rhaenyra with Viserys' crown. And it says, "From fire comes darkness." And this is coming to HBO Max in June. So we're probably going to run through June, July, into August for House of the Dragon, baby. Oh my god, I can't wait. Oh my goodness, I cannot wait. The summer of House of the Dragon. Fuck yeah, baby. This has been awesome. A Night of the Seven Kingdoms has been incredible. And if you guys haven't been watching that, I can't recommend it enough. And if you guys want to go check out my breakdowns for those episodes, currently already out on the channel for the first 5, and the season 6 or the episode 6 finale comes out Sunday, so breakdown for that will be coming soon, so make sure you hit the bell so you don't miss that one. But the House of the Dragon people have done what they did previously. They released these videos on social media of the green banners taking over the Eiffel Tower, and the black Targaryen banners are taking over the Brooklyn Bridge, and people showing up in real life thinking that they'll actually be there, but they're not. They're just, you know, CGI that they did for just social media. But it still looks pretty cool, but not as cool as this trailer looks. So let's not waste any more time and let's jump right on into this trailer and see what we notice.
Where were you?
Alicent came to Dragonstone.
She will open the gates of the Red Keep and surrender to me.
You cannot trust her.
The HBO original series returns in June, baby. Oh my goodness. And at the beginning of that clip, we see Alicent Hightower maybe walking out of Dragonstone, or maybe walking into the King's Landing. The Red Keep, I believe is what they call it. No? Maybe? Yes? I think so. Either way, we see Aemon One Eye on the throne, and he is pissed, and he's like, "Where were you?" And he's, you know, making his mother answer questions, but why is he on the throne? Oh wait, because I believe where we left off season 2 of House of the Dragon, and forgive me if it's a little incorrect because I have not watched that show in a long time. I think it's been 2 years since I've seen that show. But either way, House of the Dragon is incredible stuff going on there. But I think season 2 ended where Daemon is with a bunch of troops at Harrenhal, I believe, or something like that. And then Alicent went to Dragonstone to see Rhaenyra, and they had like a conversation at the end. So maybe that's what Rhaenyra is referring to here, where she's like, Alicent came to Dragonstone. She will open the gates of the Red Keep and to surrender to her. But if she was going to surrender, why would she have to surrender at the Red Keep where all the greens are? I don't know. That seems a little suspicious to me, and even her son thinks this is suspicious because he's like, you cannot trust her. But I wonder if the way that Daemon's looking back, is he hearing Jace and Rhaenyra talking about this, and maybe he agrees with him, like, no, you can't trust Alicent? Or maybe are they talking about that other broad that we saw Rhaenyra and her kissing last season? What ended up happening to her? Did she leave, or did she stay as, like, Rhaenyra's helper? But it's actually still hilarious to me that, like, Rhaenyra was, you know, messing around with Kristen Cole a little bit, and then she had her strong man, and then she was with Daemon, her uncle, and then now she's not even really with Daemon because Daemon's off doing his own friggin' crazy shit at Harrenhal and with Alice Rivers messing with his brain, and so she ends up with Maurice or something like that, something with an M, I think, was that broad, and now she's like a lesbian action going on over there. And then, you know, it almost felt like Alicent and her were gonna kiss at the end there, so maybe there's some lesbian love going on there, who knows? They are long lost friends and whatnot, and I believe all ladies are lesbians, are they not? You know, every girl has kissed another girl, right? Maybe that's just me that thinks that, but some interesting shots in that though, but nothing too crazy we've seen yet. So on to this next portion of the trailer where things are about to get crazier.
The king has abdicated the throne.
A new dawn is coming.
A new line of unsullied kings. absolute power within your grasp.
Ooh, my goodness. Things are getting juicy. As we hear Aemon saying, the king has abdicated the throne. So it looks like Aemon, Aegon, after his dragon went down, Firefly or something like that? Firestar? This is why you gotta rewatch stuff, folks, because you can't remember all the little details, like the dragon's names and whatnot. But if I remember correctly, Aegon's dragon went down last season, and that's why he's like burnt and wounded, and he probably shouldn't have lived. But also I think it was Vhagar and his brother Aemon is the reason he went down, if I'm not mistaken. And it looks like he's got that little cleft foot weirdo motherfucker with him, so they're walking through the woods. They're not around anymore, so the true king is off somewhere doing whatever the fuck, so who knows what he's up to. And then we see, it looks like stakes around and maybe this little pen for a blue dragon with little spikes on its head. I believe that is Viserion? I could be wrong. I'm so sorry if I am. And I believe this is Jace's dragon, her son's dragon. But that also looks like green tents, so maybe this is one of the Green's dragons. But as we see him, we hear Aemon saying, a new dawn is coming. A new line of unsullied kings. And we see a shot of a knight here, and maybe this is a high tower from the sigil on his chest. So maybe this is one of Alicent's sons that we haven't seen through the previous seasons. So maybe this is his dragon, actually, that blue dragon there. Oh, so maybe this is the long-lost high tower that's been off in their homeland doing their thing. So maybe all those green tents weren't just, you know, the Targaryen greens. Maybe they're the high tower green tents, because it looks like he's got a bunch of bannermen behind him that he seems to be leading. But, you know, so new kings are going to try and take this line from Aemon, it looks like, as we then see Vhagar absolutely torching a bunch of men, and just like these pillars in front of Vhagar, just showing off how large he is. And God, I hope we get to see Vhagar do some badass shit. But then we see embers flickering in Rhaenyra's face as we cut then to Daemon's face inside his helm, and he's like, you are the queen of dragons. You have an absolute power within your grasp. And as that line pops up, we see Corlys, and he's on a boat being the sea snake, and he's, you know, I believe going to be in the Battle of the Gullet, which I think might kick off the season. But Corlys is looking very distraught over the edge of his boat there. And then we see Sir Criston Cole, not armored up and very, you know, muddied face, but it seems like he's looking up to the sky as we see a ginormous dragon footprint. So is this Vhagar's dragon footprint in, you know, one of the large dragons we've already seen, or is this potentially the cannibal's footprint? I don't know about y'all, but ever since we've heard mention or like, oh, there's another dragon out there that eats other dragons and it's called the cannibal, and it just is free living amongst itself, you know, like just out there. I need to lay eyes on the cannibal. I need to know how big he is. I want to know what dragons he's eaten. You know, like, I gotta see him. And in my mind, you know, Vhagar is the largest right now, but in my mind, the cannibal is even bigger, you know? But maybe not. Maybe because he only eats dragons, he's not that big. I don't know. Personally, I think this is either Vhagar's footprint or maybe Vermithor or one of the other bigger dragons. But either way, why is Criston Cole looking at this footprint like, oh boy, is this dragon close? This is fucked up. Either way, it looks like a giant T-Rex footprint. Or Godzilla footprint, maybe. You know, like Sir Criston Cole only takes up a toe of the thing, so either way, this creature is very large. But maybe it's also Caraxes, because it looks like we got Daemon on the back of his big old red worm dragon there, and like he's screeching, and he's, where is he at? I'm not sure, just in a green field. But then we see a bunch of black knights with golden logos on their chest. Or maybe those are green with gold logos, but it's just dark so the green's not popping up. But it looks more like black and gold. So is this, you know, Aemon's Kingsguard? Or is this maybe Rhaenyra's and she's taken over the Iron Throne? I certainly hope so. You know, from Game of Thrones, we know that this isn't going to end well, and this is going to end in all the dragons getting extinct at some point. But this is like the peak of the Dance of Dragons, I believe, is what we're going to see in season 3 here, because so far we've only really seen Vhagar eat one dragon, which was Rhaenyra's youngest son, and then we saw Vhagar take down the queen who never was his dragon, Rhaenys. So other than that, and then Aegon's dragon went down, but we don't know if that dragon's dead or not. Maybe flightless, but we don't know if it's dead. So, you know, is there going to be much more dragon-on-dragon violence this season? I certainly hope so. I mean, I don't want to see that, but it's got, you know, something's got to be compelling here, and something's got to be badass going on. So I'm thinking we're going to see a whole lot of dragons. Maybe we're going to see Caraxes versus Vhagar, and they're going to go at it head-to-head in Daemon versus nephew, One-Eye, Sir Aemon One-Eye. Jesus Christ. But yeah, then we see a bunch of men with shields and axes charging at one another, and arrows getting loosed, and just men trampling over bodies and rocks, and, you know, fields on fires, and then Daemon swinging his sword at somebody. You don't really get a good look at who he's swinging at, so maybe somebody bigger than him, maybe some gold armor, maybe this is Sir Aemon One-Eye, maybe it's somebody just nobody, maybe it's like a Viking type guy, I don't know. But really crazy stuff so far, but we only got one more section of this trailer to go, so let's wrap this thing up, shall we?
Soon or late, Rhaenyra will send her new dragons here. It would be the end.
This is the moment you become queen.
Ooh, the closing shot of that just gave me absolute chill goosebumps all over my body. My goodness. But you see at the beginning of that clip, Alicent is talking to her son Aemon One-Eye and says, sooner or late, meaning, you know, sooner or later, Rhaenyra will send her new dragons to King's Landing. So maybe, you know, maybe this is her telling her son why she went to say that she'll give herself up and turn herself over to Rhaenyra and invited her here. But maybe this is just like a trick. Maybe this is a trap, and she's trying to get Rhaenyra here. And, you know, she's saying she will send her new dragons here. It would be the end, because she's got more dragons than they got at this point, and bigger dragons and more dragons. So, you know, either they need more dragons or they need to make some type of deal. But then we see shots of what has to be the Battle of the Gullet, with ships all over the place, and it looks like her son Jace and his dragon swooping through, and he says, Dracarys! Although we don't see the dragon breathe fire, so I wonder how big his dragon is, you know, compared to the dragons we've seen in other series at the moment, you know, because it does look like maybe slightly bigger dragon than last season. But we then see shots of Rhaenyra pounding on a door, and then we cut to a quick shot of Kristen Cole screaming as he like chokes the soldier in the middle of battle, and then Rhaenyra's pounding on a door some more. So maybe I'm thinking Alicent, you know, tells Rhaenyra to come to King's Landing. They grab Rhaenyra, and then they throw her in a dungeon just to like, we have your queen. What queen? We're the king. I don't know what you're talking about. And I am wearing a Boston Celtics shirt. Do not make this think that I am on Team Green. I am Team Black all the way. Do I need to go change my shirt? Don't you comment I'm on Team Green. Screw you. The only Team Green I'm on is the Celtics. But after we see her banging on the door in the dungeon cell, if you would, we see shots of a burnt face Aegon, and he's looking up to the sky like something's coming maybe for him. And then we see Corlys looking up to the sky like maybe he's about to get Dracarys'd by Jace. We see Rhaenyra banging on that door some more. We see maybe Corlys getting thrown into the water off the boat. Some real, I think the Battle of the Gullet is going to be incredible to see. But then we cut to a shot that everybody's talking about where we see Alicent, you know, clutching her pearls, and she's like, oh my God! And she's wearing gloves, and they're like, only dragon riders wear gloves. I don't think she's going to be riding a dragon anytime soon, Miss Alicent. I mean, she might, but I don't think that's what this shot is. I think this shot is Rhaenyra getting burnt alive, or maybe the next shot we see is a guy swinging a sword and just fireball all behind him. So maybe this is like the Red Keep just getting absolute fireballed and everybody dying, similarly to the way that Daenerys just burned everybody in King's Landing in the later season of Game of Thrones. But at the end of that clip, the most powerful line of this entire trailer, we hear Daemon saying to Rhaenyra, "This is the moment you become queen," as we pan up and we see her kind of rise to her feet, and Rhaenyra, friggin', oh, I forget the actress's name, but she is so freaking good as Rhaenyra. But the poor woman, she's just always crying or just so emotional that like her veins are popping out of her face. But man, oh man, does she do such a good job. I love Millie Alcock as young Rhaenyra, but older Rhaenyra, oh my goodness, she absolutely crushes it. And, you know, so powerful, just a powerful line. This is the moment you become a queen, as she just kind of, you know, she has to like pull her tears back through, reverse them through the tear ducts, and she kind of stands up like, "You goddamn right, I'm queen." You know, like, fuck, I would run through a brick wall for Rhaenyra. Fuck the Greens. Fuck Alicent Hightower. Fuck Aemon One Eye. Oh my god, Aemon One Eye. The only thing cool about him is that he has one eye and that he has Vhagar. But anybody can have Vhagar, apparently, so let's switch that up, huh? Let's get Aegon One Eye out of the fucking... And how are they going to kill Vhagar? I mean, the only weakness Vhagar has is that it's really big, so it, you know, can't corner quick. But we saw how that went with, like, big Vhagar and the smallest dragon. Vhagar still won, you know? So, I don't know, maybe quickness will beat Vhagar, but if anything, the only real weakness Vhagar has is age, right? It's an old dragon. It was one of the first 3 dragons that Aegon's conquest and his 2 sister wives came over on, if I'm not mistaken, you know? So, Vhagar's been around, and you can see with the big bellowing, jiggly neck of Vhagar, you know, like that dragon looks like it's seen some shit. But I don't know, man. Other than A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms and House of the Dragon, I hope one day we get, you know, a Game of Thrones maybe spin-off, and we get more of that timeline, you know, what's happening in the future for all of this stuff. But I also hope we get Aegon's conquest and we get to go back, because boy oh boy do I want to see Balerion the Dread in all of its glory, you know, like because Vhagar's dope, but I think there's bigger dragons to be had, baby. You know, like I want to see bigger dragons. I want to see more fire. Oh god, and like the biggest thing with the dragons is that I need the sense of scale. You know, I need that little pipsqueak of a person riding on the back of that thing, or you know, petting its face and it opens up its jaws and you can almost just step in it. You know, like I need to see bigger dragons. I need to see more ferocious dragons. I need to see Balerion the Black Dread, and I need to see him doing his damn thing. Because, you know, just thinking about the dragons, and like even Game of Thrones, they only had the 3 dragons, and really out of those 3, only one of them got big, and that was Drogon. And Drogon was so big, but it like took time, and we got to see him grow. So like, you know, I don't know if we'll necessarily be able to see Balerion the Black Dread hatch and then see him grow into the biggest dragon. That would be cool too. But just seeing Drogon go from like one size to like good size to, okay, he's big. Okay, he's big, you know, like he just got getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and then like as he got bigger, his like horns got spikier and like he got more ferocious looking. Drogon was not to be fucked with, you know, and as far as I'm concerned, he's still alive, right? At the end, you know, Jon stabs Daenerys, you know, spoilers for Game of Thrones for anybody that hasn't seen it, but you know, I think this is a pretty fair game. We're talking about a spin-off show. I don't know. Sorry if I spoiled that, but I think, you know, as much as that ending sucked, and I think they can play with that a little bit. You know, Drogon took Daenerys and brought her somewhere. I think not only is Drogon still alive, maybe he can lay some eggs, you know, they're dragons, whatever. Maybe he can lay some eggs so there can be more dragons. Daenerys, maybe he can do some little magic, I don't know, fucking, maybe he can curl up in a ball above her, and then she'll live, and then when they both, you know, come back from a coma, maybe he's bigger, he's laid some eggs, there's more baby dragons, and the mother of dragons is still alive, but now she's pissed and she wants to come back for vengeance. You know what I mean? Like, I would like to see all of those things. You know, I think there's another one called 10,000 Ships, which is supposed to be, you know, another Game of Thrones spin-off, but, you know, more so in the era of House of the Dragons or even before, you know, like towards Aegon's conquest. But I don't see the Game of Thrones universe ending anytime soon. I find it so interesting and so compelling, and you know the best part about it? not a single cell phone in sight. It's just dragons and medieval armor and swords and daggers. You know, there's nothing. No guns, you know, like the most guns they have is a bow and arrow. You know what I mean? Like the less technology, the better, it seems, for these type of shows. And it's really paying off, you know, like I love to see it. But I'd love to hear your thoughts on this trailer breakdown and reaction, and I'd love to hear things that you noticed or things maybe I didn't notice. If there's anything I didn't talk about in this trailer here today, I'd love to hear your thoughts about it down in the comment section below, or you can send them to me on my other social medias. Links for those down in the description below. But if you've made it this far into the video and you would like to support the channel, the best way of doing that is dropping a like on this video, commenting down below, subscribing if you haven't already, and hitting that bell so you don't miss future Game of Thrones reactions and trailer breakdowns and future Game of Thrones content, and you'll get the notifications when those come out. Once again, my name's Big Cam. Thank you guys so much for sticking around, and it really means the world to me, and I will see you gorgeous folks in the next video. Peace!